Welcome to the Conscious Investor. Let's get started. Conscious investors, talk about let's get started. You know what started recently was mountain bike season. That means the snow is melted. Not totally melted because I still can't access one of my favorite trails because it still has snow on it. But so many of the trails are now opened up. And what that means for you as one of my amazing listeners is that you are going to hear some mountain bike stories over the next 4 months or so. Most of these mindset episodes will probably come back to mountain biking in some way, shape, or form. But that's not to say if you're not a mountain biker, it's not going to serve you well. And here's why. When I go out mountain biking, my mind opens up. There is something magical that happens. It's one of the reasons why I absolutely love the sport is that when I'm out there, I gain tremendous clarity and I gain really different lessons than I gain from other parts of life. And that's one of the things that I love. I love that it stretches me physically, but it also stretches me as a person so much so. In fact, today I have 3 lessons, 3 tips about following your mentor that I think are going to help every single one of you. And these 3 tips are going to reach if you are, new at something and you have a mentor, this is going to apply to you. If you are in growth mode and you feel like you're coming up to your mentor, this is going to help you. And if you are in, why do I still have a mentor? This is going to help you. I have seriously, while I was on the trail last night, it was such an extraordinary experience, by the way. New trail, riding with my group meets up with other groups up here in far north Idaho and North Montana, Northeast Montana. So if you're ever in that area, let me know. And when you ride with different people, you have different dynamics and it's really special. So let me just go through this concept of follow carefully, beware, because 3 things happened and it was very interesting while I was on the trail last night. And the first thing that happened was it's a new trail to me. And have you ever been new to something? Like when we're new to something, we either stumble our way forward. Some people will procrastinate until they think they can get it exactly right. And most of us will kind of look to the people around us and say oh, how are they doing it? What are they doing? And we'll adopt the things that they are doing into our life. Well, on a new trail last night, I decided the best thing to do is, hey, ride behind people and follow where they're going. I can be a good follower, believe it or not. As much as I am a leader, I can be a really great follower. And while we were on this trail, I was just climbing up, following the rider in front of me quite contentedly. And then we heard this very, very faint hollering chatter. We stopped, kind of what is that? Wait, those are people with us. What's going on? You kind of wonder if there's a man down or what's going on. And we realize somebody comes riding up the trail. Hey, you guys are on the wrong trail. Oh my goodness. We could have just continued on and on and on and thought, because, you kind of ride in little segments. We could have just assumed that we were still on the right trail, but we weren't. I was following somebody else who thought that they were following someone else farther ahead, right? So what does that mean to us? As soon as that happened, I thought of you. I was literally I have got to share this with the conscious investor community, because it was really one of those call to actions. Okay, just because you're following behind somebody doesn't mean that they are a full fail proof, right? They might make a mistake. And so it's not just fix it and forget it. Oh, I can just follow and, be on my phone, and obviously not on a phone while you're on a mountain bike, but, just kind of following along, mentally checked out, not assuring that I am in the right place. You see, we still have that responsibility. And when we're new at something, we're in this vulnerable position where we think, well, no, I'm just going to put the full responsibility on these people that are further ahead of me, and I'm just going to mimic their actions. So many of you have heard, right? Success leaves clues. And so, yeah, I'm just going to follow and iterate exactly what they've done. But we have to be cautious even in doing that. It's okay to have that checks and balance in place. It's critical and important. The other lesson from that particular moment on the trail last night was that somebody came to get us. How cool is that? That means that I'm riding with top-notch people, high caliber people who genuinely care about each other and are looking out for each other's best interests. So as we are pursuing our next ambition, as we're trying to make that next level up and we're following the person ahead of us, we cannot neglect to be circumspect, to be looking around, and to be listening, fully aware of other voices who may be able to redirect us, even the person ahead of us, towards a better path, or even sometimes the right path. In this case, really, all these paths would have been, they're all safe and things like that, but we wouldn't have been able to ride together with everyone. And that would have been a total bum out because riding together is so much fun. So the first story that, the first little aha that I'm hoping you take away from this is, hey, have your mentor, but you can't put full responsibility. You are still responsible for your choices. You are responsible to be present and to be ensuring that the actions that you are taking are the best actions and will lead and continue to put you on the best path possible. As if that was not a great takeaway in and of itself, something else happened on the trail. I like to take pictures along the trail. Now, sometimes I just want to speed down and huff and puff my way up and just really try to work out, as hard as I can. So sometimes I don't take pictures. But last night, our fearless leader was not actually with our group. He was, his daughter's graduating. And so he was, graduating high school. That's a huge thing. And so he was ensuring that he was being present when these really precious moments with his daughter before she heads off to college. So totally get it. But because our fearless leader wasn't there, I'm I got to make sure I get the pictures because that's kind of our thing with our group. And I got to make sure this happens. So I'm writing, and when you pull over to take pictures, you end up falling, kind of getting in the back of the pack. That's okay. But for me, it requires a total mental check. Okay, why am I out here? Am I out here tonight to just totally slay the trail? Am I out here to get to know people? Am I out here to just crush and to work out, maybe some frustrations that I have? Really, why am I out here? So I'm at the back, and some people will just pull over and they say, hey, they know how I like to ride. And so they'll say hey, just go ahead, go ahead. And I will, sometimes I'll say oh, thank you. Yeah, that's great. I appreciate it. And sometimes, hey, no problem. Well, last night I ended up behind a rider, and the rider was riding really well. And so I'm no problem. And I didn't realize as we were climbing up some of these little hills, I was getting too close. Yeah. Next thing you know, that rider kind of going up this hill, there's a rock. Rocks can be a little bit slick. And, even if it's not wet, the dirt can kind of make your tire slide off. And that particular rider kind of had a oops and didn't fall, but just kind of slid and that rider caught herself. And I was too close, and my front tire bumped her back tire. Now, in this situation, because we didn't have any speed involved at all, because of the situation, we were all safe. But that could turn into something really, really bad as we are following behind people, right? Because we're talking about mentors and making sure that we are following the right people and the best people. As I was following behind this writer, I wasn't being considerate. I wasn't giving enough space. I had to apologize, saying, like, wow, I didn't even realize. I was talking to this writer, just getting to know the writer better because it was a new writer in my life. And so I didn't even realize, again, that whole, are we even paying attention? We can't put the responsibility on the people ahead of us. And so I had to own it and say, hey, I'm so sorry I was following too close. I will give you breathing space. This was rude. Like, that was not the best move on my part. But again, lessons come from that. Lessons abound in life when we are willing to look for them, or when they kind of find us like this. And in this case, I was reminded, give some distance, right? Sometimes we're closing in on our mentors, and that can be a good thing. It might mean, hey, we're getting ready to rise beyond our mentor. We'll talk about that more in a second. Or it could mean that there's more to learn, and we simply need to kind of cool our jets, because let's face it, if you've ever tried anything new, the moment it starts to feel comfortable, we think we can go and conquer the world. I mean, just look at any kid for a moment, especially teenagers, right? Teenagers think they know everything because now they have access to a phone and they can figure everything out, and they're smarter. and we've experienced this. More than likely, you have engaged a teenager that is a little condescending to you. It could even be, at the grocery store or something, like, oh gosh, I cannot believe this person. How can they not know this, right? But we know that teenagers don't know everything and that they have so much more to learn. And sometimes when we are new at something, we start closing in on our mentor and we become a little bit arrogant, like, oh gosh, and we get too close and we bump their tire, maybe. And that could be a little reminder to say, hey, you are growing, you are learning, you are expanding, but maintain your humility so that you're not missing the opportunity for that continued growth and learning. All right, that's number 2 takeaway. And believe it or not, yeah, I know. I had 3 takeaways all in one night. It was amazing. And this one is speaking to those of you who maybe have outgrown your mentor. So we were just talking about, hey, maybe you're getting the hang of things and you're catching up to your mentor, and you kind of feel like you're going to bump their tires, or you do bump their tires, but you still have more time to incubate. But then there are times where you actually have reached beyond where your mentor is. And that should be the goal. Any good mentor should want you to flourish, should want you to surpass them, should want you to become one of their peers versus someone that's still learning along the path. That's a goal. Similar to parenting. Trusted guides are, I tell my kids, like, I want you to surpass me. I will not be hurt or offended in any way, shape, or form when you outdo me in life. Like, that would be the biggest high five I could ever get. So last night, as I was writing, this aha happened because I was writing, and the writer in front of me, he was a great writer and everything, but I was feeling great. And my climbing legs are actually working right now, which is amazing, because if you've been listening, climbing is usually up those hills is usually a part of biking that really holds me back. And in this case, it wasn't holding me back. And this writer actually went to the side. He's like, I can tell you're writing really great. Like, you go ahead. And that is the posture I hope that we take as mentors. I hope that we take that posture of recognizing, oh, this person is rising and they are doing such an excellent job. They're ready to go beyond me. Maybe I even have some resources where I can say, hey, you should join this mastermind, or maybe I need to connect you with so-and-so because I think they'd really help you out, help take you to the next level. Because we all have people that are above us, and also people that we can help. So as we are serving in that mentorship role, we should be prepared to step aside and let mentees, go beyond us or inspire us to level up our game, right? And as that mentee, we should be looking for that opportunity to where, wow, it's okay. The whole purpose of being a mentee is that I am going to excel at this. I am going to collapse timelines. I am going to be able to iterate everything that that has been modeled for me. And I'm more than likely going to be able to improve upon those processes and then pass that along to others. So 3 very different takeaways. They're almost like the beginner, intermediate, and advanced on following and knowing who you are following and why you are following them. Well, let's go to you now. Who are you following? And who are you helping? Who's following you? Because you're not ever in just one isolated location. There are always people ahead of you, always people that you're supporting that are rising up behind you. And then we always have our side to side, shoulder to shoulder peers that we are collaborating with as well. So always be aware of where you are at in the mix. I'd love to know where you are at. And I'm curious. And I'm curious what lessons that you are learning through the naturally occurring events in daily life. Would you tag me in a social media post? Would you just tag, I think Instagram, it's the Conscious Investor Podcast. That's the handle. Tag me. I would love for this podcast to get tagged so that we can see what are your lessons that you are gaining from life that are expanding your mind and who you are. Well, that's it. That's what I've got for you this week. Now, here's a huge thing. Have you shared? Have you shared the podcast? Because this podcast only grows through people like you saying, wow, okay, I got something from this and I think it's going to support this person over here, or they'll be encouraged, inspired, or whatever it means for you. We don't have to put it in a box. If this is serving you in some capacity, please pass it along to someone else, share it on your social media platforms, whatever you see fit to help encourage and inspire others. Until next time, remember, adventure always belongs on the trail, not in your investing. So let's keep the adventure in the right places and choose investing in great assets. If you have any questions about that, that's what I do. I help people make really great commercial real estate investments. And I'd love to support you and your family in growing their investment portfolio. Until next time, live big and love even bigger. Feeling alone, disconnected? Conscious investors often feel alone or disconnected because of their unique perspective and desire to expand their thinking. But the journey of a lifetime isn't meant to be solo or forged by grit alone. Join the Conscious Investor community on Facebook, link arms, exchange ideas, and expand your thinking on finances, relationship, and community. Join the Conscious Investor group on Facebook today.